I do think that this spell book will become the new Darkhold in a way. I think they're.
That'd be so
I think
fun.
the MCU is a little bit like, maybe we shouldn't have destroyed all the Darkholds.
So
a good
fun.
theory dance for Brandon.
Do we
yummy
get
theory
like
dance
a post-credit
for
scene of this show where just like somebody, I don't know, some janitor sweeping up the Witch's Road and comes across a little.
Welcome back to the after show here on the Breakroom for Agatha All Along. And don't worry, this episode is safe for all ages 3 and up. Hit that graphic.
After. Ooh, a bit of Stranger Things. It's not before, it's not during, it's the after show.
Oh, that was jazzy. I like that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. This is the after show for episode 5 of Agatha All Along, Darkest Hour. Wake thy power. We're reaching out to the beyond during this blood moon when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. What happens now to old Agatha, Lily, and Jennifer as they sink into the mud? Where the hell is Rio? And boy, oh boy, what is this teen feller all about? I don't get it. We'll get into that and more. I'm Brandon Barrick, and joining me today, he's got a mouthful of bugs. It's Erik Voss.
Oh, but just creepy crawlers that are, the eatable ones.
The edible? Any bug is
Eatable.
Any bug is eatable if you try hard enough.
Fair play.
And you should see her in her crown. It's Jessica Clemons.
I'm gonna run this nothing town. That's how the song goes. I didn't know whether I wanted to go with the teens quote or with Billie Eilish, and I chose Billie Eilish.
Way to go, way to go. And also joining us today, he's so much like his mother. It's Zach Huddleston.
I found a parking spot for my broom outside.
Oh yeah?
Let's go.
That's nice.
It's gonna get a
Nice.
ticket.
Gotta put it close to the curb. We've also got Evan in the producer box taking your questions live. We'll hit most of them towards the end of the episode today, so stay tuned for that. And don't forget to check out nerdriot.shop for fun Agatha-inspired merch. I'm wearing a little Agatha shirt. Eric's got on a Rio SO shirt. Zach's got on, of course, our favorite Agatha characters, Venom and Spider-Man.
Can't wait for their cameos in episode 6.
That shirt?
I didn't get one of these.
I'm not wearing merch, but that's at least I'm still wearing a succubus. You're
I want to do witchcraft ID.
That is so out of the wheelhouse.
I know. I didn't get one of
Does
these
it still?
shirts.
I think
I
it
need
could
to get
still.
one.
You could count him as a kind of a demon.
We also have this shirt on nerdriot.shop.
I do love that shirt.
It's a good
Coming
one.
up, we're like 2 weeks out
Oh,
from
we're so
Venom
close.
and
My
everything.
last dance.
Yeah.
the
There's
music.
rumor that there's going to be a post-credit scene, and I hope it's Spider-Man 4. That'd be crazy.
It's just a trailer for Spider-Man 4. They've been shooting the whole time.
And I would be like, I got it. I got it first.
Venom 3 becomes $1 billion movie.
I
purely
just
for the trailer.
hope Kevin Feige gets to see the post-credit scene like a day before it hits theaters,
He
just to give him
better
a head
see
start.
it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he doesn't get to see him before they show up.
It's just Shang-Chi and Peter Parker, not Spider-Man, just eating shawarma.
I mean, I'll be there for it. I'll be sad. I'll be like, this is crazy as hell.
Well, we got lots of questions about Agatha all along, but before we get into them, Jessica, kick us off with a bit of a recap.
Yeah. The Salem 7 and their familiars. The Salem 7 and their familiars return creeping around the road like some little freaks. I did not like this scene. It was disgusting.
I like the little
They were
twisties.
filthy as hell. How are you liking it? You're afraid of everything.
I'm not afraid of women, Jessica. I trust women.
We finally get an in-show answer as to who they are, the children of the witches that Agatha killed way back when in the Salem days, and they want revenge. Lilia warns the coven to get moving, and Agatha rushes in saying, always finish what you started, and mercy is overrated.
Classic.
Classic.
Classic line.
Honestly,
people get that tattooed on yourselves, please. Come on.
I might. Who knows?
Let's all get the sigil, like right on our necks, and hope it's something real stupid.
Why on our neck?
Yeah, we gotta live with it.
Okay.
iOS forever.
No. The
Reference,
witches
no.
use a hexenbesson, aka brooms, to escape. Also, can we talk about Aubrey Plaza's witch laugh?
Pretty
Oh,
good.
so
That
It was a
good
very
one.
good laugh. I love that she's maniacal, like throughout everything, and just having a good time, even though
vibrant.
everyone's having a horrible time. As they fly through the night sky, Teen asks the question that some audience members might have been asking: why haven't they been using brooms this entire time to just get through this? And we get a really quick answer and view as the road just forces them down from the sky through a member of the Seven and into the next trial.
That's right. And with the blood moon outside, Rio deduces it must be Agatha's trial, as the blood moon is when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. And Rio says it best, who better to commune with the dead than someone who's put so many in the grave? And they sit down with the Ouija board, and while the first spirit is really just Agatha doing a very convincing Mr. Shart impression, or Miss Shart impression, the second spirit is death. So just
claims it's death.
Someone claiming their death, right? Now they also say they want to punish Agatha or punish Agatha. You could interpret with voices screaming, "Help me!" and Lily is shouting, "I hated this the first time." Jennifer decides to lead the charge on punishing Agatha, fracturing the coven, but then the lights go out, and it is Agatha is the one who's getting possessed by her mother, Evanora Harkness, and the sequence was just really great. It had all the elements of Hereditary. Right. There was some Exorcist in there.
Some J-horror, crazy acrobatic movement kind of things.
Yeah. This is a lot of fun. It was very creepy.
Yes. The ghost of Evanora asked them to finish the Witch's Road without Agatha. Interesting. But despite wanting to kill Agatha, it's Rio who refuses. Which could be a little, she's mine, not yours. Could be maybe, who knows? Maybe she has some issues with Evanora. Yeah. We'll talk more about that. Evanora tells Agatha that she was born evil and that she should have killed her the moment she left her body.
Ouch.
And then we get some heavy reaction shots from every other person in the room. Just to reiterate, that's cold as hell, Mama.
Yeah. Oh, Mama.
Oh, Mama, that's cold as hell, Mama. Evanora repossesses her, and it's Alice who jumps in to the rescue, ever the protection witch. But she blasts Agatha to kind of push Evanora out the back, but Agatha takes that as an opportunity to absorb all of Alice's power, and the whole coven witnesses Agatha stealing Alice's power and her life. Draining. She turns into the little gray husk that we know from the previously on. We were called that the Salem 7 also turned into the same kind of husk.
She got raisin, dude. It's tough.
Full-blown California raisin. Right there on the floor.
Full-blown.
Right there on the floor.
Yeah. Teen snaps Agatha out of it when he realizes the spirit of Nicholas Scratch is trying to commune with him. We get an echoey, "Mama, stop."
Oh, what a line too.
Stop
what a
it, Zachary.
Yeah.
Let's clip that out.
Zachary.
Make it your ringtone,
Now,
folks.
if it were Austin Butler.
Play that, baby.
Mama, stop. Anyways.
Oh, baby, this burns.
Teen follows the rules, ends the Ouija session with goodbye.
Yeah.
This episode reiterated in multiple ways, you've got to end something, okay?
Close the
You
tab.
need a good ending, okay? And they exit out of the trap door. Interesting that in the previous trials, they were usually exiting down. This one, they exit up. I don't know if there's any importance to that.
I mean, a little bit. But unfortunately, Alice is dead. Dead. Really, most supremely dead. Teen takes the loss pretty hard, lashing out at Agatha, who seems guilty. She kind of checks it. She's like, "Oh, I got a little power. This is great." But she also does, I think she puts on a convincing, I didn't mean to kind of thing. As they're kind of going back and forth on it on the road, she tells him that she couldn't control the power absorbing. And I guess that's the big question. Do we believe that or not? He says to her, "Don't lie to me." And then there's a subtle change in Agatha's face. She's finally seeing something for the first time. She does a cute little two-finger and she kind of laughs at him, and as if she solved this mystery. She whispers, "Are you sure?" And then she tells him that you're so much like your mother. And she calls him Pet one more time, kind of calling him along. Teen's fingers then sparkle with a little bit of blue power. And Jen and Lilia, whose eyes have also gone kind of a bright blue, they grab Agatha and they throw her in the mud. She sinks down, disappearing. But then the teen blasts Lilia and Jen back into the mud, sending them in, and they get sunk down. And then we get this nice shot of his face. Billie Eilish plays us off with Teen in a very Wiccan-like crown. We can just see the little bottoms of it. Kind of looks like Wanda's crown. And then we're gone. That's the episode. Very quick little episode. Our shortest episode yet. And before we get into some of our remaining questions from the episode, any favorite moments anyone would like to highlight? Something that they really liked in this episode that really buttered their egg roll. What do you got?
What the fuck?
Also, I don't think you put butter on egg rolls.
Oh, you should.
You
Just
should.
dip it
Where's
in some
Berg
butter.
when you need
should.
him?
You should. Berg, if you're in the chat, confirm that buttering your egg roll.
I would say a real quick one. I will never not pop for a light flashing and a character is
on the
creepily
wall.
defying
cool.
gravity
Yeah.
by sticking up in the ceiling in a scary way. It got me in Hereditary. That gets me in any movie that shows up. It's always creepy. Love that shot.
I did love that shot too. I love that shot and the shot of the owl in the tree. When she jumped
yes.
down, she was like, I was like,
Yes.
I was like, these are the,
So,
the
yes,
scary jump
good
scares.
practical animal work in this episode.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah,
look
yeah.
like real animals. Yeah.
It was very much like Professor McGonagall as the cat. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a cat, I'm your teacher, and you're late. My favorite moment, speaking of defying gravity, is when. And then the flight, the Blood Moon ET
Yeah,
flight.
yeah.
What my heart soared. I mean, just them kind of like flying down low to the ground felt very like Star Wars Trench Run.
Right.
That was awesome. Like the visuals of it were very cool. I know it was a lot of VFX, but whatever. It looked so freaking cool. The moon was huge. They were illuminated in this red light, and each of their expressions kind of told us something about them, and especially like Agatha looking over at Rio in that moment, and Rio was just like, she wasn't afraid of falling. You know, it's like she was cackling while the rest were screaming for their lives. She's like, I don't care. Nah, I'm not gonna die. I can't die. So I just love that whole moment.
I love even the Japanese tea ceremony element of like you can't ride your own broom. You've got to give it to somebody else.
Yeah. Like,
That's
the
kind
weird
of
little
fun.
rules.
Yeah, the little lore elements that they
I
keep
don't even
sprinkling
know
in.
where that would have came from movie knowledge of like, oh, we have to switch brooms.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't know where it came from because they don't do that in Harry Potter. And on Harry Potter, they,
Every broom for yourself.
Yeah, it's
I
kinda
like
fun.
all the. What I really like about the show is it's not too handholdy or over-explanatory with its magic. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, oh, this magic exists and we do it. Like they don't stress it too much, which I kind of like. That's something that they do well with some of these concepts in the MCU. They're like, no, it just exists, and we'll get all the details as we go on. But like initially, we just like that it works.
It's
and
a quick
fun.
rule, the way
Yeah.
that like the first act of Inception, before they really just started to screw with the logic, like they would just kind of say a quick rule while they were running somewhere, and then you're like, oh, that is kind of how it works in dreams. And here it's like, oh, that is kind of how it works. I feel like with witches that I'm familiar with.
yeah, I'm not asking questions. I'm like, this makes sense. This makes sense.
I was also very excited to see the return of Evanora. I like that there
Cool, yeah.
some things that I think they probably just wrote in the first season that they get to explore it more. It's very fun.
That scene was. I told Eric when we were doing the reaction. I was like, "Ooh, it's given the haunted mansion when they first arrive, or like when it comes down the
Like
stairs."
Casper,
And-
even a little bit.
Well,
like
there's that little
poltergeist.
ting of that sound, that jaunting, like doo-doo-doo, that feels like Hocus Pocus, but I don't know. But I was like, "Ooh, I love this. Bring her back." And then I thought it was gonna be kind of like a little whimsical mad. I didn't know it was gonna be like, I should have killed my baby in the womb.
I just
like,
feel,
I was like,
yeah,
damn.
I feel very vindicated because I always thought it was wrong what they did to Agatha.
I did too.
They were
I
trying
was
to
like,
kill her.
You're trying to kill her,
I mean,
and you're her mom.
Think of all the emotions this show tried to evoke on behalf of Agatha in this episode, right? We're definitely frightened of her when she's creeping around all possessed, right? We feel a lot of sympathy for her during some of this mom sequence. And then we
mad
hate
at her,
her.
yeah.
We're mad at her when she's turning into full-blown evil Agatha with Teen near the end, right? Like, what a wild episode of emotions for her, right?
She's definitely the hardest to read because you never know what's like legitimate with her. Right?
We still don't.
Yeah.
We
Well,
think?
we'll get into that and more. But first, we want to thank one of our sponsors today over at One Shot Energy.
Boom.
And you can go to oneshotenergy.com right now for 10% off your order. Or you can click the link in the description below. The One Shot Energy, they've got all natural ingredients. They have energy chews. They have focus chews that don't have any caffeine or energy in them. They also have voice drops with help.
I popped one of those before we started
If
recording.
you do a lot of talking at your job,
Yeah.
you might enjoy that. So you can go to oneshotenergy.com/new rockstars for 10% off your order. Again, that's oneshotenergy.com/new rockstars for 10% off your order. Okay, let's get into some of our questions for today. I think our biggest question is probably around the teen, right? There's a character in Marvel Comics known as Wiccan. Who's been referenced before, certainly in WandaVision with that version of Billy dressing up as Wiccan on the Halloween episode. But what do we think about this version of? They haven't officially called him Wiccan yet, but This feels very Wiccan-y. He's teen. He's got the color scheme. He's got the crown. He's got blue magic. Very much like his mother's. You know, even like the way it kind of works. And I think Joe Locke did a great job kind of evoking Elizabeth Olsen's mannerisms, right? That kind of like 1,000-yard stare, like beyond everybody when he's doing the magic. The kind of little like head quirk, the little hand twitch.
The little trigger finger thing, like just the wispy magic at his sides as he's walking up, like, and it's almost like a trigger finger ready to do a quick draw.
And even the way Lilia and Jennifer are possessed with their eyes glowing blue. That's what would happen when Wanda would control.
Yeah, very Age of
Ultron.
Ultron,
Eyes would glow
right?
red. Yeah. But what version of Billy do we think this is? Is this the Billy that we saw in the Hex that is somehow back and has aged up? Is this a Billy from another universe? Is it not even a Billy at all and some kid who's just been like changed?
Well, I just want to point out, I think it's, the natural conclusion would be like Wanda's son, and I was trying to figure out how did that even happen. They purposely don't say Wanda's name. She says, your mother. She doesn't say you're just like Wanda or whatever, right? Like, we're purposely not saying that name. Now, that could be just to drag out the mystery, to have a nice cliffhanger and to have people like us speculate and create content around it. But, like, is there still a chance his mother is not in any way Wanda Maximoff?
I think it's got to be Wanda Maximoff, and this has to be Billy Kaplan, and it has to be Wiccan. At this point, if it's not one of those things, this is going to feel like another Ralph Boner moment.
But it could be two of those things, but not all of those things. He could be Wiccan, he could be Billy Kaplan, but somehow as presented in Agatha all along, Wiccan is not Wanda Maximoff's son, right?
Well, I think he's always considered to be the son of the Scarlet Witch. Even in the Children's Crusade, it's a very confusing explanation, but I think, kind of what happens is that he is one of the souls of the two boys from the West Coast Avengers comics that are pieces of Mephisto's soul that just gets scattered across the multiverse, bringing us into House of M, where she's kind of searching the multiverse for reality with her kids. And basically these fragments of souls get kind of reincarnated in the form of the child of Jeff and Rebecca Kaplan, making Billy Kaplan. But it's always understood that through this kind of cosmic connection, he is like spiritually and cosmically and multiversally the son of the Scarlet Witch.
But maybe not biologically.
Not
maybe
genealogically.
Wanda did not gestate somehow teen. Yes.
Yeah. But what's hard in the MCU is we've had Julian Hilliard's version of Billy, not just in the Hex of Westview, but in the 838 universe. There is a physical, corporeal universe where he takes that form. So this show, if they're going to say that this is still Wanda's son, just a variant of him, they're going to have to come up with some explanation of why he is not this actor. Are they just going to say that variants across the universe are different actors? Because the MCU has been inconsistent with that. Sometimes Peter Parker looks like Tobey Maguire versus Tom Holland versus Andrew Garfield. Sometimes all Stephen Stranges are Benedict Cumberbatch, and all Lokis are Loki, with some exceptions. You know?
They could have done what they did to Cassie Lang and just, oh, she's blonde now.
Just recasting her.
Yeah, just recasted her.
Yeah.
And just not acknowledge it. They could also do, I vaguely remember this from the comics. I haven't read the Wanda one so long, but it was that there was a piece of it wasn't really her. It was just like her soul, or like a piece of her, someone else's soul went into the Billy and the other kid. I'm sorry, to the other one.
Tommy
Shepard. Yeah. So I'm like, it could just be that. I think I made a comment that's not gonna happen at all for our reaction show, where I was like, oh, she could have Steven Universed it, where her dying is what gave her abilities to Wiccan, and even though he's like a 13-year-old boy during this time, it's like, oh, her soul or a piece of her found this body and was like, oh, this is it.
Interesting.
This is a person. Or maybe when she did that initial blast, it actually went past Westview and went to Eastview and hit that kid.
Yeah, I wonder if the Billy she created in the Hex, when the Hex went away, does that entity go somewhere? And now with Wanda being dead on Wonder Gore, which is like undoing Agatha's spell, did it also release this spirit of Billy? And maybe there's a spirit of Tommy out there somewhere.
That would be
and they've latched on in an interesting way.
Yeah, that would be making Wanda a god.
I'm
not trying to question it.
Yeah.
I would believe it in a way. She is a god, but I'm like, oh my god.
She's like
She
a prophetic
would literally
figure from the
be-
Darkhold. Yeah.
Yeah, she would be a god. She would be able to create life,
Create
without-
reality. Yeah.
I think she
Create
kind of
reality.
did in Westview.
Yeah.
But
But it didn't stay. But
You're
that's why
right,
I'm
it was
But this
temporary.
boy is clearly evidence that's like, oh, we have a god.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if maybe the difference between this version of Billy, I'm assuming his name is Billy just from the closed captioning on the trailer. If this version of Billy might be different from the other version of Billy just because that version of Billy is a child that she conceived with vision.
Right.
With his purple dick. As we know from Paul
Damn.
Bettany,
Scarlet.
he said it was
We'll say it's
purple.
Scarlet.
I don't trust anything Paul Bettany says in interviews.
Is it purple?
You're right.
Is it purple all the time or only when he's using
He can
it?
change its
God.
density, dude.
Is it like Shape of Water where it just like comes out only in the middle of action, or is it always there?
What's it?
It does.
Yeah.
All this is staying in the cut.
Wanda,
Yeah, but I think
Wanda, you're not gonna enjoy this next part.
in this version, and maybe in a
Toothbrush?
in the
Sorry.
616 reality, it was Wanda's death. Maybe this is just a universe where Wanda, or this is a Billy that Wanda did not need Vision to create, and then there's some other means, and she just had a surrogate mother of Rebecca Kaplan, and maybe also surrogate father, and that she's kind of like God using Mary and Joseph as these vessels to bring her begotten son into the world.
Can I throw in a new element into this mix? Where does Nicholas Scratch fit into all of this?
I have no idea.
I think he's a separate entity, and I think
Okay.
Rio
Unrelated
was right
to
when
Billy.
he was like,
Yeah.
"This is not your son." I think Rio, no, and that was like a very straight delivered, no subterfuge line to her.
Yeah,
and I
she's
think the
being
fact
real.
that Nicholas reached out to Billy, I think via the Ouija board, kind of shows that it's like, or the team via the Ouija board.
And was that even Billy doing Nicholas a solid by saying goodbye?
I think
at
it
the
was,
end with
yeah.
the Ouija, right?
I think I think the teen takes magic very seriously, and so yeah, I think he wants to always follow the rules of magic, because he's very practical with it, right? Though it's clear that he has way more powers than he's let on. I'll also throw out there that the teen, is it possible that like the teen is or Agatha saying like you're just like your mother, is that maybe Wanda in there? Like kind of like almost like spirit walking into this figure. Like she is a spirit that's just out there in the world, and she's manifesting herself through this character, and her powers are manifesting as blue instead of red. Now I don't know why Wanda would have driven Agatha down to the Witch's Road to do all this. I don't know the reasoning behind any of that. Maybe to free herself from the astral plane or something like that. But could Wanda be controlling Teen in these moments?
Just on the note of Teen, why does he throw everybody in the mud?
Well, we were talking about it a little bit before the show. Is it to move everyone to the next trial? Is it that he needs to get them to the next trial? Is it because they know who Agatha knows who he is, and so he's resetting the board and
I
getting
think
them
it
off the
was-
Witch's Road?
Some people, which I don't know if I agree with. I don't think I agree with this, but I will give you that's a fun theory. That this was all because everyone is acting so out of the ordinary this episode. That this is actually one of Lilia's visions and not at all like an actual play out of what actually is going to happen.
Oh, okay.
But I'm like, I don't know if that's true, but I love that idea. That theory is very fun. I think he, just like Wanda in Multiverse of Madness, kind of just got overwhelmed. Well, not Multiverse of Madness, maybe at the beginning of WandaVision, or what made Westview. I think he just got really overwhelmed, and when you don't have control of your powers, because he's basically a witch trainee, it just went off.
Yeah.
And he's like, get away from me. And throwing them away, I don't think he meant to throw the two into the mud. I think it was just like, get away! Toss Agatha into the mud, toss her off the road, but you two, I didn't mean to. I just don't want you near me right now.
It's also fascinating, right? Like he controls Lilia and Jennifer to throw Agatha in the mud, but then he's just like floop and throws them, and he could have flooped her into the mud.
I think
didn't.
that's why I think he just genuinely was like, I just want to be alone and just toss them. And
But-
that's why I don't think he meant to throw those two in the mud.
I was gonna say Agatha now has powers,
True.
so maybe he needed
Whereas
them.
they
to be
don't have
muscle.
colors coming out of their hands.
Right. Jennifer has maybe unlocked her magic a little bit more, but as far as we know, Lilia still is like hasn't gone through her trial yet. Hasn't unlocked her abilities.
And that's a great point. Speaking of trials, right? Again, the very literal Alice's trial last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Now we see this episode. She has powers that she previously didn't have. Right? Somehow she unlocked through the trial her witch powers. And yet Billy is the one who comes out of this trial having powers. Was this Agatha's trial or was this Billy's trial?
Interesting. I mean, was it Rio or who was it who said, or Lilia, who was like, it must be.
No, Rio says it's Agatha.
Rio says, and we can't trust anything Rio says. Right?
I said before this record that I think it's Rio. Sorry, I just want to hold that down.
Jessica thinks
Just
it's
because
Rio's trial.
I said it's Rio.
Why do you think it's Rio's trial?
Because she was the one that pointed everybody towards Agatha. And immediately, when they were like, it's when the veil's the thinnest, I was like, that's not Agatha's doing. That's probably your doing. And I think it's all of her just trying to make it seem like this. Also, I told you that the punishment was all on Agatha, and the only person defending Agatha was Rio. And I think it was her trial. Yeah, it's your worst fears. And she told us in the last episode, I made a scar on this person that I really love, and I wish I never would have done that. And I'm like, oh, she really loves Agatha. Her worst pain comes from Agatha's sorrows. And this episode was only punishing Agatha. And she was like, this is hurting me to watch. So I think this was actually her trial to be like, this woman has to suffer, and you have to sit here and witness it. And she's like, I am having a hard time doing this. That's why she like even tried to block her from her mom.
See, I think it was Teen's trial only because, like, thematically, the past two trials have, like, corresponded to the witch whose trial it was. Like, if it was a potions trial, the idea of it being wine drinking and, like, there's different weird ingredients around the house. The second one being a recording studio from the 70s and being so important to Lorna Wu. So this one, I just don't see how that's... I could make an argument for Rio for sure, Jess, because, like, she's in the poster and she seems to fit in that world. It doesn't feel like Agatha's trial because Agatha is just not of that world. But Teen doesn't feel like a teen slasher movie, and like all the references, it feels like Stranger Things in a lot of ways. So I could see this as like Rio saying it was Agatha's trial, but then actually it was Teen's trial, because I kind of feel like him throwing them in the mud was like him protecting the witches of the coven. Like he's trying to protect them from himself in a weird way. He's like worried by this new power that's taken over him. So he's like, get away from me. I might hurt you with this. So just like I'm keeping you safe in the mud for now, or putting you to another part of the realm.
I will say I was gonna cut my own self off when you asked the first thing about the mud, because I also do think I think Teen is mad at Jen and Lilia, because immediately he's like, you guys can bring her back. You can use your healing, you can use your potion, and Lilia immediately goes, well, everyone dies eventually. And Jen goes, yeah, I can't do anything. And they were about to literally continue walking.
Well, and Jen says too, like, this is all about power. And she kind of insinuates what Agatha's doing is what all of them want to do.
Yeah.
They all want to just take all the power for themselves, because, like, power keeps you away from dying. Yeah. It keeps you alive. And that's why we bring up Wenwu again, who kept the rings.
Get out of here.
Because he wanted to stay
Wait, is Wenwu
alive.
on the...
I bring up Wenwu all the time. Where was Wenwu during 1693? Why didn't he stop by around?
I want to just add to what Brandon said about who's going to be staying on the Witch's Road, and I know damn well at the end when they leave, the Salem 7 children are going to be stuck there, and that's going to be the spirits that are on the Witch's Road, or these women that turn into animals that are stuck there.
I want to point out some fascinating language Brandon just used, that they all want to stay away from death. Death, interesting word. Seems to be a big theme of this episode.
Rio's not there at the end.
Where is Rio at the end of this episode? There's an interesting reaction shot when we get dead Alice on the ground. It does cut to Rio. She's not like or whatever, but
what is she not doing?
Previous episode she asked for some bodies. Here's a body.
I get the bodies,
right?
She's like, yoink, puts it in her pocket.
Just putting on a bib. Eating her egg roll butter dish.
Yeah. Butter your egg rolls.
Don't mind if I do.
I think she's staying behind to claim the body, really. If she is dead, like she's taking that body.
Who doesn't want that body?
Rio Vidal, River of Life. She's ferrying the river Styx.
If she's dead, they said death on the board, and she laughed at it first. So
right.
I'm just another reason why it's probably Rio's trial.
But also just an overall fascinating theme for the show. If this Witch's Road is either like trying to avoid death, but maybe it's a slow march to death with death. I don't know. There's a lot of death metaphors going on.
They pulled death down to the road. Evan, you had a point?
Yeah. Oh no, the gamer in the Twitch chat saying, did Rio stay behind to take Alice's body to Mephisto? Interesting, to Mephisto specifically.
Does Mephisto want bodies?
Yeah, we don't know if Mephisto cares about just like piles of bodies. Although,
but you know who does? Mr. Sinister.
Mr. Sinister. He loves them to experiment on. He's running laps around the Galapagos Island. Right?
I saw a comment on your reaction video posted last night that like, a teen whose powers manifest after a big trauma episode Doesn't that happen to mutants?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because Alice Wu, she also said it was around 13. I think there was a line in Thor: Love and Thunder where in the background Russell Crowe's like, the winner of the most souls sacrificed in the name of a god is Satan. So like, there's an argument that in the MCU, the devil does want bodies sacrificed to him, or maybe he doesn't. People just keep sending him bodies, and he's like, I don't want this.
If
What's
Rio
the Sacha
isn't,
Baron Cohen accent?
if Rio wasn't death but is like still the Green Witch, it makes sense that it's like, oh, take the body, put it in Earth. Also, if she is reviving the body, she could be putting it into the Earth to grow back and come back into the real world, other than the Witch's Road that they're on. But yeah, I think she's doing something good behind the body. I think just like Agatha, she's kind of growing a heart where she's like. But there's still rules to death where it's like, I can't just be bringing people back all willy-nilly, but then it's also on the Witch's Road, maybe they can. So I think she probably went to go bury the body to revive it.
And when they're doing the Ouija board and the spirit says it's death and she laughs, do we think she's laughing because she's like, I'm death? This is, whoever's doing this is like lying right now. Whatever spirit
I think
is
she's
within the
moving
board.
it. I
You
think she's
was
moving
doing
it just to
and
mess with
She's
everybody.
able to pull it off.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Or I think maybe they were trying, because she immediately was like, it's Agatha. The Thale's thinnest, the Veil's thinnest right now. Agatha has the most dead bodies, and I'm like, bitch, if you are death, you got the most dead bodies. And then secondly, it's like, I think the board, whoever the spirit was trying to be like, death is here with you guys, and she went, yeah, they're gonna figure that out.
Throw in the chat if you've ever Ouija'd. It is a verb for our purposes here. Were you able to manipulate and get something funny spelled out? Because every time I've tried to Ouija board, it's ended up being gerbil gabble or whatever, and never.
Are you doing it by yourself in the dark?
That's
in the
right.
closet?
That's right. I have no friends.
If death has claimed the lives of every person who's ever lived, anyone know how many people she would have on her tally sheet of people who have ever lived?
Too many.
There's more people alive now, right, than has ever died.
There's more people alive on planet Earth than there are corpses of people who have ever lived, which is a crazy
That's not
statistic.
true.
It happens
Wait.
at some point in the 1980s. We don't know when exactly because we don't have an accurate worldwide census. But just statistically, they were able to extrapolate backward. There are more. There are 7.8 billion people on planet Earth. There are not 7.8 billion corpses on planet Earth. There's something like, just because back in the year zero, there was maybe like tens of millions of people living on the planet. There weren't that many.
Dead.
But they're dead. But we didn't start having a billion people on the planet until relatively recently.
It's more a reflection of how
here.
short humanity's experience
and
on
how
Earth
much
has
population growth has
If
been.
only Berg was here to explain it to us.
This is like the argument.
We don't need Berg for this.
This is like the argument where they kept asking, "Is there more doors or wheels in the world?" And I was like, "I hate this question."
Wait a
Yeah.
second.
Wait
So
a second.
she doesn't-
Hinges
So this
on
is just a
wheels.
way of saying, as death, she would not have something like 80 trillion bodies that she claimed,
No.
unless you include like Hala or whatever. No, but I think she's just like Earth's designation of death, like the mall Santa death of Earth. And so there's just like maybe 6 billion people.
That's way more than Agatha. That's way more
A
than
lot.
Agatha.
Evan?
A lot.
I think, we've touched on a lot of things. There's a lot of audience questions, both on YouTube and Twitch. Would love to get to some. I think we'll cover some of the other things we want to talk about. But just wanted to shout out some comments and then jump back a little bit. Sean Patanod on YouTube saying they also thought, they said it was Mr. Sharp, just yelled it out loud. But
Get
been
your
with
minds out
y'all.
of the gutter.
Been with y'all since 2017. Jack Johnson saying they also theorized this
Jack
would be
Johnson?
the T. Johnston. But Jack Johnson, if you're
The
here
way-
making banana pancakes, let us know.
He pronounces the T in castles in the sky. Castles in the sky.
You guys know Jack Johnson.
Yeah, I
right?
know.
Well, yeah, obviously.
It's in our
they,
DNA.
they were saying that they theorized about the teen starting the trials because the board flew to the teen again.
Yes.
He did trigger this.
Initiating all of
down.
Yeah.
Matthew Curry on YouTube saying that I love how Billy's final straw was a human moment. Losing all hope and faith in Agatha over the course of a conversation felt perfect for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He's
think
the
that was
one
really
that
strong
was
scene.
originally, like, you guys don't know her, like,
Yeah.
he's a big
They
Agatha stan.
did know her. He didn't know
Well,
her.
He had blinders on.
Well, does one never know anybody?
No, dude, not at all.
Is it Vonnegut that said
Everybody here's a serial killer.
We pretend to be people, so pretend to be a good person. You are who you pretend to be, so pretend to be a good person.
This,
Or like in
No.
Titanic, a woman's heart is an ocean filled with secrets.
that's not true. And
A man's
as
heart
woman-
is a retention pond full of shit.
As a woman.
As a woman, I thought you actually farted, and I was like, Zach, I swear to God.
You might
They
have
call
actually
me
farted and covered.
Mr. Sharp.
Hey, call
Get him out of there! Get him out of here!
Early Halloween costume.
Bring me my brown cloak.
Oh,
Oh boy.
So let's jump back to the sigil really quick.
Yes.
Hazard0707 asking, Teen is wearing protection runes on his sweater. I think he put the sigil on himself.
Yeah.
And Nahilan saying, Billy's reveal with the Billie Eilish theme in the crown is on point. Does this mean the sigil is now lifted? And what are Billy's intentions with the road? Lots of people asking about intentions like Prod by Kick, and just many, many people as we've gotten a little bit more out of the Teen this episode.
Yeah, I want to talk about some of these Teen's elements. So the sigil, right? If the Teen does it himself, and knew, if the Teen has kind of been playing dumb the whole time, which is a possibility, put the sigil on himself. Did he purposely do a sigil, which they all kind of saw as like amateurish magic, right? Very low level, easy to do magic, but very hard to break, right? Was this part of him like throwing them off the scent a little bit to put that sigil on so they couldn't figure it out, and so he could just play dumb? It's like, what do you mean you can't hear what I'm saying?
Also, maybe to throw himself off the scent, right? Was he also?
Do you think there's two
susceptible to the
entities
sigil?
here? There's powered up Teen and there's regular Teen, and at this point in the episode, powered up Teen took over.
See, I don't think he's been playing dumb. I think
Yeah.
that's too much to ascribe to an actor's performance, that they had this Palpatine-esque duplicitous agenda, especially if they're younger, and the reason they're cast is for their authenticity and their raw performance. But I do think there are elements of his history that he doesn't know about, that are being uncovered every step of the road. So I think one of them is this connection to the Scarlet Witch. I don't think he's aware. In his mind, he was born as Billy Kaplan, not a big deal. But I do think that like he might have put the sigil on himself, but maybe just as like some other way of protecting himself, or maybe the spell he didn't realize he was putting it on himself. And so like when he said it, he was like confused in that moment, like, what? Why are you looking at me that way?
I agree with that, because it's also like, if he is as powerful as Wanda, or just very powerful, but is still he's only set at a trainee level because they're putting him there. He's like, I'm learning, but it's like, with all that power and you are learning, what if you accidentally have put a lot of spells out in the world and on yourself? And I could see him doing something like that.
Can I pitch a theory to you guys? Like,
Sure.
It will probably be wrong, but I think I mentioned in a past talk about this, that like maybe we're gonna find out in a Billy-centered episode that he has had like a friend hanging out with him that he thought was a friend, but it was like an imaginary friend, and that friend's name is Nikki or Nicholas or something like that. And that friend has been helping him around, but that friend is actually like a ghost friend. Could Boyf on the phone, Miles Gutierrez, Riley's character, we think is going to be like a whole clean character. Eddie is kind of a name that's been used for him. We don't know that for sure. Could Eddie actually be this friend, and it's like two friends or two boyfriends who are just like putting these spells on each other, like, and so that friend, who could be a form of Nicholas or some other friend who's like helping him in this witchcraft, put the spell on him, and that's why it kind of seems amateurish. It wasn't Billy putting it on himself, it was someone else.
Just really, really quick, well-rounded mom, regular chatter, saying that her and her kids have been calling each other Boyf ever since they saw that.
Boyf. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like, for whatever reason, I don't think he put it on himself, but I think some other amateur practicing Wiccan or sorcerer might have put it
I
on.
mean, I could still see it being like a piece of Wanda magic or
That's
something.
what
Like,
that
to
makes
keep
me
him
think
hidden.
more. It is Wanda who like put it on him to protect him.
Yeah.
And then in this moment when he's getting confronted by Agatha, and Agatha's doing the finger. I love the 2-finger choice. It was so good. She's so weird. She's so good with the hand stuff this season.
The hands deserve their own Emmy category.
She's like good handwork. When she's moving in on him like that, if in that moment Wanda is watching from wherever, and like that's when she jumped in to like protect him.
Yeah,
I
that's
will,
a bit more.
I will say on that moment in the show, I did just believe like she was actually serious at first, and then it went from being serious to protecting herself, because she's been without her powers, she loses that guard and that protection on herself, so she's very vulnerable. So I think she just doubles down on being a dickhead.
Because now she has power.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, you guys are all against me, then I'm gonna double down and be an asshole too.
Can we, since we're talking about Agatha and her motivations, can we talk real quick, or just everybody go down and say what you think? Did she mean to suck Alice's power out? Or is that just a natural reflex of Agatha?
I don't think she did. I thought it was a natural reflex, especially since we got that previously on of 1693 and her begging just like she did in 1693. I was like, I I think it just sucks to have the power that's like, I suck people's abilities. Everyone has a shitty power. We see it in The Boys. But, like, this one sucks.
She did it on purpose.
Literally.
She did it on purpose. I think she did it on purpose.
I think she already made this choice on purpose in the past to be this type of witch who does this. So she's already made that choice. It's just baked in. But I think at this point, it's a.
What'd you do?
Well, it's just the thing behind us. It's like my brain with it behind me. It's kind of like, what'd you say? Wrong thing that? That's a bad theory. Count Chocula's over here like, you idiot. But
That was a good Count Chocula.
Good.
No, Agatha. But I think it's now a reflex. To answer your question.
What do you think, Zach?
I think, I might lean towards that. It was a natural reflex. She can't help. Anytime she gets blasted, she's got to suck.
She's got to
We
suck.
can all relate to that. When you get blasted, you suck. But I do think that renewed power, like, do you think she's being, which is the authentic Agatha? Is the Agatha that's kind of sweet at the beginning of the episode, or when talking to her mom and is kind of, being very sincere and playing the victim? Or is the authentic Agatha the one that's being nasty and gnarly with Billy at the end?
I think authentic Agatha is genuinely when the teen got hurt in the last episode, and when she did kind of talk to Jen. I think there is an authentic Agatha that's like, I care and I do care, but y'all keep making me a villain, so I have to be the villain.
So
it's easier to play the part.
end of this episode, when with the fingers and the "you're just like your mother," is she kind of putting on a tough mask?
I think that's still authentic Agatha, because she cared about the teen, because she kept thinking it was Nicholas Scratch, maybe, that it was her son. Even when Rio said that's not your son, she gets mad, but she's still deep down hoping for it. I think even though she was getting blasted and sucking, she knew that when Teen shouts out Nicholas Scratch, I think she realizes that Nicholas Scratch was speaking through the Ouija board, and she's like, this is not Nicholas Scratch, and I no longer care about this kid anymore. And now
I need to put him in his place.
Now that he's pushing me, I'm going to remind him that he's my pet,
Did
and I'm going to use him.
Did everybody hear the Nicholas Scratch go, "Mama, stop," or was it just Agatha?
Ooh, that's a great question.
That's a great question.
It sounded like some people might have, but then I'm like, I bet Jennifer Kale is gonna be in the next trial. I'll be like, I told you.
Well, didn't they?
I
they
think
actually
Teen heard it.
Yeah.
Because he was communing with Nicholas Scratch in that moment. That's why, Zach, I think you bring up a good point that that was Teen's trial here, because I think he was the one who actually communed with the dead. Like the others, I guess she talked to her mom, but did she really connect with her in that moment? It seemed like she was just blowing her off, and she's making excuses. I think it seemed like Teen was actually talking to Nicholas Scratch and then solved the crisis.
And if these trials are about overcoming something that has been holding you back, we definitely saw that with Alice in the last, right? She got rid of her generational curse or whatever, right? In this one, Agatha does not get over the thing that has been holding her back, right? She does not come to any kind of new, state with her mom, right? In fact, she wants to avoid the conflict, or she doesn't want to be stuck there with her mom or anything like that, right? And in fact, if it wasn't for Alice kind of blasting her mom out of her, we don't know. And then Agatha's ready to get the hell out of there. She doesn't want to hang out and deal with any fallout, right? So she has not learned a lesson in this trial. And I guess, we don't know about Rio. She doesn't get a lot of dialogue there at the end of the episode. We don't know if she's learned a lesson. But it does feel like Teen learns something, right? Especially in the post-trial reveal conversation with Agatha, there's some kind of new awareness that has come over him. And certainly, he now has powers.
Yeah.
Maybe he always did, but...
I don't think there was a lesson to be learned in this trial. That's why I'm I keep thinking it's Rio, because I'm like, if the trial was punish Agatha, you guys are going to leave not learning anything. And they did punish Agatha. I'm like, she was definitely trapped with her mom and did not want to be.
Yeah.
Evan?
Because we're on Nicholas Scratch, I want to jump back a little bit. Lots of people asking questions about Nicholas Scratch and the possible possession and things like that. Drew Lopez, Colin McKinney, GameHacker03, and of course Kobe-Wan Kenobi, gift sub Godfather on Twitch. We'll coin it right now, saying, could Nicholas have been possessing Agatha and using her to steal Alice's powers and come back to life or get his power back?
I saw people saying that, but wouldn't her eyes also have to have changed?
Maybe. Yeah. Do we feel like, what would Nicholas's goal be, right? We still are learning about the relationship between Agatha and Nicholas and Rio and the Coven. Is he a guilty party? Did he? Some people suggesting maybe he died of natural causes. Maybe he wasn't sacrificed. Any thoughts?
What is the stop? What is he asking Mama to stop doing?
Yeah, I think it's to stop trying to bring him back. I think if she went on the
what?
witch's road before, it was to get her son. I said in the video, oh wait, it's a video that drops soon. Never mind. You gotta watch it. But at the beginning, I do say, I'm like, I think Wanda and Agatha share that in common, where they want their families back. It's just that Agatha keeps hers behind, like under her sleeve. She doesn't show it off, unlike Wanda, who goes through universes trying to steal other children.
Hey, she's being lied to.
I get it, but I do think, I'm like, oh, I think her son died, and she has been trying to bring her son back, and that's why even with like being friends with Rio, if she is death, like, hey, can you bring my son back? And it's like, I can't bring your son back, and it's like mothers will go to lengths to like do anything for their babies, and to lose your baby. I point to you two because you guys have babies. But like, yeah.
And where are your babies right now?
You would do anything to protect your babibies. Oh God, wait.
Did you lose your babies?
You're like, it's not attached to my wrist.
It's 11:58. Do you know where your babies are?
Yeah, where are your babies?
Where are your babies?
Evan's my son, always has been.
Aww.
They did say, right, in this episode, they established the rule that, like, a ghost is there because they have unfinished business left behind. Now, we didn't see, like, a ghost of Nicholas Scratch, but if the idea is that, like, he's reaching out, does that mean he has unfinished business as a baby?
I think he does have finished business. That's why we didn't see him, if that makes sense.
He's not a ghost.
I think the ghost that lurks on this, like, Evanora Harkness is like, I'm so angry, you can see me. But this is a baby that's like, I'm not angry, I let go, but my mom can't, and that's why I'm still here.
Can I throw out one last crazy thing? When Agatha says, you remind me, you're just like your mother. What's the exact quote?
So much like your mother.
So much like your mother.
So much like your mother.
Could she be the mother still?
I don't think so, because just Rio said that child is not yours. Like, I feel like all these things, we'd have to be like, why did they say this then? Why do we end 2 episodes with 2 refutes of that? Like, I think at this point we have to let go of this boy being Agatha's son. I think Nicholas Scratch and Billy are 2 different identities at this point. I know in the past I've said they could be connected. I think at this point the show is just giving us different information.
And like 2 different ways to explore this kind of mother-son connection, right? Like, that would be really interesting.
I do think that the kid said, "Mama, stop," and to say that you have to be around 3-4 years old at a minimum. I think this kid was not a baby anymore. This is a preschooler, toddler, maybe 5 or 6.
Us that don't have kids, it's a baby still.
Oh yeah.
I never know when to call
16.
them. Well, I don't know the difference between a toddler and a baby. Aren't they still babies?
Toddlers toddle.
Yeah, 2-year-olds.
Toddle.
Babies
2-year-olds can say "Mama, stop."
Babies.
Toddlers can drink a little bit of wine.
My 2-year-old daughter tells me to stop anytime I try to sing or do anything fun in front of her.
I love her.
Is it possible that this Nicholas Scratch entity is not actually Nicholas Scratch and is something that is using the identity of Nicholas Scratch to manipulate Agatha? Where it's like, it's presenting the vision of the cradle with the dark hole in it. It's presenting this voice, and none of that's real.
Could that be Mephisto, Eric?
If it's possible.
You guys keep giving me chances to get Mephisto in here. Look, I think if someone is using the mask of Nicholas Scratch, we're talking a lot of layers now. And like now I'm even wondering, are we going to see a form of Nicholas Scratch on this show, or will he just be a name from the past who keeps coming up? So to say, like, not only are we going to have to see a Nicholas Scratch in these 4 remaining episodes, we're going to have to see someone wearing that as a mask. And it's just kind of hard for my brain to see how that plays out in
We'll
episodes.
see a little version of Thackeray Binks from Hocus Pocus.
Remember,
or the daughter. Remember when she's like, Thackeray Binks, and he's like, oh, there's my sister, and he like leaps as a cat away. That's what we're gonna get, and I will love it.
It's possible.
I think at this point, I'm just like, if we see Nicholas Scratch on the show, it's gonna have to be just some kid.
Yeah.
You know, like it can't be like an actor. You know,
A grown man.
Especially because it feels like this next episode is probably gonna be a flashback, right? This feels like a moment in the show where you deviate from the normal timeline and you go back and give more information about the team.
Lots of people asking about the mud too, like Jess McGregor and Gravy Training. I believe in Silver 2 Champagne. Like, is this mud like going to be a cleansing thing, right? What is this going to serve on the road?
They all come out moisturized.
Jennifer Gale looks better. She's grabbing some for her own stash. I think there is a part in the different trailers that they've released of the promotional material where the same scene where it's like, I want my prize, and the scene where she goes, nice guys finish first or go first or whatever to teen, she's covered in
like
mud.
Muddy.
She's
and
muddy.
there's a shot of like Jennifer crawling out of the ground. It looks like almost like in Westview.
That's Westview.
Yeah.
So either this kicks them off the road or like it's a reset or maybe next trial.
They must go into the castle because you even mentioned it in our reaction last night that we see the Wicked Witch and these are the snippets. We see the Wicked Witch, we see Glenda, and we see the evil queen from Snow White, and it's Saoirse Maida all of them. But we never saw Alice or the teen. And you said you saw a little piece of the teen once in footage. And when they're walking over that bridge in one of the trailers that has the phases of the moon, they are muddied except for the teen.
Yeah.
So maybe it is they're going to get out of the mud and go straight into the
Maybe
castle.
the first scene in the next episode is him pulling them out of the mud and being like, you
What
needed
movie?
to cool off or something like that.
I just
Yeah,
don't
what
know how
movie is
this.
that?
What do you
I'm
mean?
sorry, no, keep going.
It's
Where they come
Predator
out
when
of the mud?
he gets in the mud, so the Predator can't see him anymore.
Yeah, I really don't know how we get from where we are at the end of episode 5 to the castle with the
Wizard of
swords
Oz.
and the Wizard of Oz stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like people are just so separated and mad at each other and drowning each other in mud. We have to have some kind of transitional episode that's like a flashback that answers things. But I'm just looking at the available footage and the promos, and I'm like, I don't know how I piece that together.
And even
There
if
must
we
be-
get a flashback, they don't show us how the team comes back to meet them after the
Yeah,
mud.
I would say maybe the stuff that shows like when Rio is wearing the green hood, when
Yeah.
Agatha is kind of walking through the woods in the daytime shots, like that could be the flashback to the Salem times, and then we catch up through the Victorian times. Maybe that's where we see Teen on the outside doing his research, and we just kind of catch up to where we got to before we went down the Witch's
okay.
Road. But like, yeah, maybe that's how we see Salem again.
The scene with the castle and those scenes where they're in mud, the hue is yellow. It's like gross, pukish, brownish yellow. So I'm wondering if the mud just brought them to a different layer of hell on the Witch's Road.
The poo layer.
The
Are
mud
there's
is
Stop
yellow.
saying poop.
Are there 4 episodes left?
4.
4.
3
Okay.
weeks, and the final 2 episodes
And
both
so
come out in the
it
3.
also feels like we got to get a Lilia episode,
Uh-huh.
right? We need that trial. Regardless if you think this was the Agatha or the teen trial, we definitely have not had a Lilia trial, right? And maybe whenever we need a end of the road trial, or we need an end of the road episode.
Yeah.
Right? Like whatever's going to happen there, big battle. I mean, these Disney Plus Marvel shows have been pretty good. It's usually the penultimate episode is usually, or the final episode, usually where we get our big budget, heavy CGI battle, right? Like,
We get that little scroll arm, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Ooh,
Scroll arm, bring it back, bring it back.
Or the Agatha and Wanda, you know,
the Visions fighting
doing and
was in the final
Visions and
episode,
all
yeah.
that. Was that the final episode?
Yeah.
Yes, right. Like, so we need that, and somewhere in between now and then, we also need a Lilia episode. But then those other 2, yeah. Do we get a flashback? Do we get?
Yeah, I kind of feel like episode 6 is like what happened in Salem. Wiccan finally named as Wiccan. Episode 7 is like the Lilia episode where all the pieces are connected with the divination, and we put all the pieces together with every little thing that she said. And then episode 8 and 9 is just final battle, where like, because I'm thinking it's interesting that they revealed him as Wiccan without saying Wiccan, but he's Wiccan halfway through the show. We have 4 more episodes. What else are they going to reveal?
Yeah.
Like maybe they finally just confirm Aubrey's death, and then maybe we have some other big reveal.
I think
in
they
a
gotta
post-credit
have
scene.
like a flashback episode. I think I think this whole next episode will be in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, just off that, MC No Light on YouTube saying episode 4 has been my favorite so far. This episode 5's pacing was insane to me. Felt like they just wanted to rush to the reveal of Wiccan. I'm not sure if I feel like it's so rushed. It feels like you're saying there's a lot more left that's left to explore there, right?
Yeah. I do agree though that it's odd with all these Disney Plus shows where they're consistently around like, 36 minutes with 4 minutes of credits. And then to jump to one that's 10 minutes shorter than that, it's like, then when you were breaking the stories, something got misoutlined or in post-production. Like, it's not a sign of confidence in, like, the way you're breaking the story. I don't blame the writers. I blame Marvel execs for coming in and being like, move this,
Or
move
there
this,
could have
move
been,
this.
maybe there was a big chunk of this episode they were like, oh, this
slowed
should
it
show up
down.
later in the series.
Or,
Right?
or it just slowed it down
Yeah.
and the pacing was bad.
I could see them cutting something out, but also, and this is just me being like, oh yeah, I'm in the business. They gave everybody 4 episodes, and they're aware they gave press 4 episodes to watch. So the 5th episode is something we all have not seen.
And a shoe needs to drop. Something big
yeah,
needs to
they were
happen.
like, I think they kept that in mind.
It is interesting. The previous episode, we finished the trial and then had a pretty decent chunk of the episode post-trial, right? When Billy's wounded and we're getting the campfire chats. Like this, the trial ends. It's a pretty quick sequence, right? When Billy kind of throws people in the mud, right? Like we don't spend a ton of time. It's just that very quick exchange between Agatha and Billy. That could have maybe that was longer at some point, right?
Who knows?
Yeah.
One element of the teen I think is interesting, and I think they really kind of made a MacGuffin of this episode was his little spell book that he's been carrying around.
yes.
That has spells written in it that he's researched, but also has like stuff he's learning. He's like writing down.
It's not easy being green in Latin.
There you go.
Yeah.
They made
It literally was in there.
They made the point of like, oh, I lost it. It must have disappeared when I was flying. I don't buy any of it, right? No. It all seems very weird.
I mean, you didn't lose it when you were going down a water slide, but somehow you lost it right in
and
the
like,
room.
Well, the water slide spit it up too.
It's such like a useless line, but so purposefully there that it's like, okay, this has got to come back at some point.
Let's not talk too much crap on it in case the writers were like, no, I just wrote that.
Well, I don't know. To me, it seems like it's important. And like everything that Tina's done so far, the team is very into the movie practical magic and actual practical magic, right?
Yeah.
He has this old school sigil that they all kind of dismiss. He brings up doing actual like spell work.
He's always talking about the rules.
Right.
And it's always him who finds the clue.
He finds the clues.
Yeah.
He brings up the brooms, and they're like, we don't want to do brooms. Like he always brings up old school, very basic old magic.
He's excited about the
brooms.
brooms. He's excited. A lot of the other characters are a little salty about magic or witchcraft in general, right? Lilia only talks about like she kind of hates all the normal witch stuff because she thinks it's like trite and cliche or whatever.
Yeah, he's the young kid on the Herald team who wants to do organic openings and invocations, and everyone else is like, can't we just do scenes?
But he's good
Can we just
at
do a
it.
group scene?
And he's right about it.
I do think that this spell book will become the new Darkhold in a way. I think they're.
that'd be
I
so
think
fun.
the MCU is a little bit like, maybe we shouldn't have destroyed all the Darkhold.
so
A good
fun.
theory
Let's bring
dance for
one back.
Brandon.
Do we
A yummy
get
theory
like
dance
a post-credit
for
scene of
Brandon.
this show where just like somebody, I don't know, some janitor sweeping up the Witch's Road and comes across a little.
He's like, I can't read.
No!
Is Danny DeVito like reprising his role for Beetlejuice?
I was thinking about that book and I was like, ooh, I don't want the Salem 7 to get a hold of that damn book.
Yeah,
if they're
good
crawling
point.
on the ground,
They
slithering,
won't
they're
take
gonna
off
pick
their
it up.
masks.
I put all
They
my
can't read
slash
it.
stick in that book.
It's all in English, not Latin.
What if Tony and Bruce got together? It's in the book. I wrote a whole thing about it.
It's just fan
Hey,
fiction.
Tony, we'd be more generous than
I'm gonna snap my fingers and bring everyone back and also put the two of us on an island together. We're not allowed to wear swim trunks
I think we can say that impression is rough. A low.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Evan?
Yeah. So there's lots of
I think
audience
it really
questions.
hit the mark.
That's good.
Ruffalo.
Stop
Now there
cutting
we
off
go.
Evan
Now
for these
there
bad
we go.
puns.
Sorry,
For
yeah.
these horrible puns.
So I want to make sure we get to some of these other
yes,
questions. We can keep it tight as we roll through. There's some more theories kind of about Agatha and Nicholas Scratch. Reeves saying, if maybe Agatha couldn't control, if she was born with evil. Ramen Noodle saying that what if her ability to absorb powers is actually some sort of curse that maybe caused Nicholas Scratch to die. Any thoughts around that?
Oh, like the
just
baby did some
cancerous.
magic and she was like, zoop. Oops. Sorry.
Sorry,
baby.
Yeah, there's never. Yeah, the Darkhold is like. I don't want to say like it works like Captain Marvel to Monica's mom, but maybe it makes you
Exposure to it?
exposure to it makes you
The
like.
longer you hang out with it, the more kind of evil you
It's
get.
not just evil; it's just like messes your body up.
I don't know, guys. Is a Disney Plus show going to show us
no.
a child being killed?
No, I don't think so. It might show like a weird trade.
It'll show a
where,
child
like,
dying.
There's a
Because
baby.
there's been a million Disney original movies of children dying of diseases.
Yeah, maybe he just
million?
dissipates.
Well, and again, though we
There's
did
been
see
more
her in episode 3, she did crawl up to a crib or whatever.
Yeah.
But he also could have been 11.
Right.
He could have been closer to teens.
No, when you're 11,
right?
you ain't saying "mama." Stop.
I still think it was a baby, and this like voice is not actually Nicola. It is just like it is whatever the entity is of the road manipulating.
I really like that because that's
Agatha.
the Wenwu shit that made me
Yeah,
really
yeah,
love
because
Shang-Chi.
yes,
I like it.
Wenwu. It's
Stop.
Wenwu
No, I didn't
making
mean to
the
bring
voice.
one. I did not. It's the dragon beyond the wall.
It's the dragon.
It is like it is the what was that thing
Dweller
called?
in Darkness.
Dweller in
Dweller in
Yeah.
Darkness.
Soul
It's
Sucker.
making
It
the
is
voice. It's drawing
He's
you
just
in. on
calling
purpose.
everybody from every dimension.
They do keep personifying
Is your
the road.
refrigerator running?
The road pulls them down when they're
yeah.
flying high, right? Like the road is a character in this show in some way, right? Yeah.
Moondoggy9129 and Shay Whisper on YouTube on Twitch asking, does Agatha still have the power that she got from Alice? Do you think that was a temporary thing, or do you think she was just like?
I think she
There
was
was
not.
I
but
got
there
it.
was an
You think it
interesting
stayed?
shot
Because it
because I
floated.
thought it kind of turned into smoke. She was like doing red, and then it kind of went away, and there was like a little poof of smoke. Now that could have been her shutting it down, or do you think that was her using it up?
It's
I
starting.
took it to be her being like, I got it. Great.
Just lighting her Bic lighter and then letting it go out.
I get where Zach's coming from too, though. I immediately was like, "Oh, she didn't get enough of that power. She's gonna have to steal all the gens in a minute. She's gonna have to steal.
Gotta
all
go
the
back
power."
and do a resuck.
She's like, she goes back to the body and just goes.
Tony
Blasphemy, you bitch.
Tony McKell, Aaron Harden, and Sriracha Cat Glass asking questions about Multiverse of Madness and Wondagore. Like specifically this one, do you think in that flash on the mountain that Wanda went to the road at that point and wished for her kids in this universe? That's how they've been manifested here. Or would this, Aaron Harden asking like, would it be fair to say this son is from another universe, right? I know we've touched on this a little bit today.
Yeah, I don't think he's from like another universe. I don't. It is a little tricky. I know you were talking about like, do they look the same? Do they look different? Also, like time is different. Like it could just be older. There's also like there's other universes, but there's split timeline, branch timelines.
Right.
So there's tons of options for this kid, right? I kind of like the idea too, as we've been talking about it. Like if the Scarlet Witch is a prophetic character, and like Wanda was just chosen randomly by the universe to become the Scarlet Witch. She's born this way. She's maybe a mutant retconned, but like she had that ability from birth, and it was just prophecy that she would become the Scarlet Witch. Maybe part of the prophecy too is this Wiccan figure, and it's not necessarily that like you are biologically the offspring of the Scarlet Witch. It's just like the book has chosen the Scarlet Witch, and it has chosen its Wiccan.
Yeah, the Wundagore Darkhold Temple had a statue of Wiccan in it, as if that's like the succession
Part of
of
the prophecy,
this royal lineage. Is once the Scarlet Witch's time is done, her red glow power finds a new womb to attach to, and maybe that's just what happened. I think the show is going to disappoint some Marvel fans by saying the Scarlet Witch in the 616 is dead. And people are going to be like, no, but they're like, her life force entered this boy of Billy Kaplan. And then they'll be like, but she's coming back in Secret Wars from another universe, so don't you worry about it. I think that's like, and then Jack Schaefer will feel comfortable in an interview saying, we said she was dead. She was her corpse there in the opening scene. So she's dead. But hey, and then Kevin Feige will be like, but we'll see. Secret Wars is in 2 years.
And then he takes off that hat and puts on a Wanda hat immediately.
She's coming back. And the same way that Iron Man is dead. T'Challa is dead. These other
Yeah.
characters are dead. I think they're okay making characters dead. But I just don't think Jack Schaefer... I think she would have fought it tooth and nail to say the word multiverse at any point in this show.
Is it possible?
They're not going to say the word multiverse. They hate that word.
Yeah.
Is it possible this is Maria Hill?
Yep. That's
Like
Skrull.
her spirit.
You know
has
what's really
that.
sad is that they have been talking to a lot of dead people except for Maria Hill. She's the
So
only
they talked to
one.
Cole. Oh, you mean like?
And same with
Yeah,
Coulson.
why wasn't
and
she
same with
showing up in the
Coulson.
Ouija?
Yeah, why isn't Coulson showing up on the Ouija? Why
Also,
isn't-
Coulson's
if
alive.
If the Ouija did spell out Maria Hill, would we be like, Mr. Schill, Erik Voss?
They call me Mr. Shill.
Oh my
Could
god.
it be Frank?
No.
Could it be
Take
the-
it away.
Could it be the man?
Rewind the lie.
Frank? Poor Frank.
All right. So,
Particle. Poor Frank.
That was so quick on the thinking, Zach.
that was
I
quick.
can't believe it.
all right. So as we wind down here, Risa Boo saying, celebrating my 4-year new Rockstar anniversary, found you in the
Hey,
pandemic.
happy anniversary.
Love all the theories. Love how much you talk about puckered buttholes.
We haven't even mentioned those this episode.
Excuse me?
What?
Wait, but now
Honestly?
we're talking about it.
It started out
here
so
for it.
nice.
She did it. She twisted it on us. She flipped it
Hey,
on
big
us.
fan of Rockstars. Thanks for all the hard work you got. I like it how you say that we should kill babies. I think that's always a great thing.
We have
to
said,
bring up.
I think I've said on this show before that the asterisk in Thunderbolts is not an asterisk.
yes.
It's a symbol
that's
for
like
a little
a little
puckered
cat.
butthole.
Here we are.
Oh no, I
Here we
said it
are.
was a big puckered butthole. Did I say it was Galactus's butthole?
Can we go
when
one
he's sticking his
episode?
ass
No one
into
was talking
another
about
Earth,
buttholes
and
more
so
than
his
me, but
face
we need
is
to
looking
stop
at the
this.
Baxter Building, and his butt's got to be pointed somewhere.
Wow.
And
Big
that's the
Fuddle Butt
asterisk.
heard the call on Twitch.
Wait,
He came
if
in.
your butthole isn't puckered, you're Mr. Sharp.
Hey, there it is. Loremonger is saying, if I get a birthday shout out, I will literally cry on camera and send it to you. You don't need to cry. You don't need to send it to us. Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy fucking birthday.
Oh, jeez. Louise.
Of course, everybody
It's a
watching
good
on
Lord.
Twitch, we stream on Twitch pretty regularly, so thank you so much for hanging out. Shout out to all the other super chats we didn't get a chance to get to today. Avril, White Raven, 969, Kyle McKinney, Drew Lopez, Sophie, Jeremiah Torres, Jack of Hearts, Lauren Burke, Rose Volk, Isa SMF, Lady Boner, Megan Johnson, Matthew Curry, Tasha. Thank you all so much. All right. Who was the head witch in charge,
Yes,
everyone?
folks, we got to
I
decide
mean-
who was the
Jessica was.
who's the HWIC this episode, the head witch in charge. Which did it for you the most?
Bitch witch,
It's gotta
teen
be.
witch.
Is it gotta be Billy?
Gotta be Billy.
Gotta be the teen.
I mean, that was a pretty good ending to
Standing,
a show.
literally the only one standing tall at the end.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who wasn't head bitch in charge, and that's unfortunately Alice.
She really stepped up though.
She stepped down.
She's
she
not-
fell to the floor.
She's not the head witch, but she's the witch
Hey,
that stepped
she
up.
got to go
Yeah,
out.
oh,
she got to
she's
go out
stepped up,
fighting
like-
using
Yeah.
her power, right?
Yeah,
And like that character, if we could see her again, we don't know what the rules are of death on the Witch's Road.
Yeah.
But like if that is the end of her and she's officially dead and we never see from Alice again, what a nice. She got a full arc.
Yeah.
But I was so I agree with Eric with the reaction. I'm like, she cured this generational curse just to die.
Done.
It doesn't matter anymore. Now it
Still
doesn't matter.
got-
The curse is
that's
gone.
the thing too. Like she kills the curse and then dies.
And then she
it's
dies,
like,
and she doesn't have an offspring that we know of. So I'm like, it looks like it's just done now.
Maybe.
The curse is.
will we discover that Agatha actually killed her mom and like absorbed her power, and then Agatha is the curse on her family?
That's right. We didn't see a Lorna Wu death scene. did we?
My HWIC is Evanora Harkness coming back from the dead to call her daughter evil.
Yeah, to
From
call her
day
daughter a bitch.
one. What a mom!
Cold.
That's
Mom
cold.
of the
It's
year?
cold as ice, dude.
That's some cold stuff. First, you try to kill your own daughter in front of the whole coven, and then you come back from the dead and say like she's always been evil.
I've been on like Rio's side that's like, yeah, her mom tried to execute her. This is dirty. This is dirty business.
Yeah.
But I was also like, crime and punishment, and these are the consequences of her actions. The rules of the witch's coven, whatever. But then when she came back and she doubled down, I'm like, I should have killed you before you even became a part of that book. I was like, okay, maybe she was a little
Yes.
crazy.
And in my opinion, it's the Salemite who are bad. I hate sand. It gets everywhere.
We've been talking a lot about Mephisto. Where's Kit Fisto? That's one for the Star Wars head. Sorry.
Yeah, we know Kit Fisto is.
Dang, dude. Dang,
Oh,
dude.
Not me.
ow, my
I said not me.
Ow, sorry,
Just pop your jaw?
Yeah, my tooth just hurt. I think I should go to the dentist and tell him you should see about this crown.
We gotta go.
It was a long way to go, but it was worth the
That was
journey.
worth it. That was worth
Just
it.
like the
Matt-
Witch's Road.
Long
no
wind
Witch's
up.
Road.
Awesome. Matt, who's running tech today, said Billie Eilish, Billy Kaplan.
That's right, Billy for Billy.
It's
Billy for
purposeful.
Billy.
People
Also-
are running into Billie Eilish's like Instagram, and she's like, I don't know what the hell is going on. She's
It's like,
Shout
I got
out.
a fat check in my bank account, and I don't know what the
Dude,
hell's going on.
shout out to this show that is spending money
Yeah.
on music
Two
licensing.
great needle
Yeah,
drops.
yeah,
so far this
yeah.
season.
Yeah,
Really
That's
great.
insane.
Well, that's it for us today. Make sure to subscribe to the Breakroom channel on YouTube and give us a follow on Twitch, where we do videos like this live. Make sure to follow at Breakroom and R on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, X, Twitch, wherever you can find us. We'll catch you next time. Latest, guys.
I better keep
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.